Port Charles had endured storms before, monsoons, heat waves, blackouts, even disasters that etched themselves into the town's collective memory. But the night everything changed started like any other. Clouds gathering, the distant roll of thunder, the uneasy calm that precedes a heartbreak nobody sees coming. At General Hospital, the hallway lights flickered softly, and nurses hurried between rooms with clipboards and concerned faces. A quiet hum of machines filled the silence. And somewhere on the 6th floor, Maxie Jones laughed. Her voice echoed down the hallway, filling the sterile space with a spark of life it often lacked. She had spent the evening catching up with Sasha, dropping off a meal for Spinelli, and teasing Brooke Lynn mercilessly about something she would totally regret telling Chase. She seemed happy, peaceful, like someone who believed, for once, that she had outpaced the tragedies of her past. No one knew it was her last night. Not even Maxie. Maxie Jones had lived more lives than most. She had been a daughter scarred by loss, a woman who learned love through fire, a mother who would burn the world for her children, and a survivor of every cruel twist fate threw at her. If life were measured in resilience, Max's heart would have outshone them all. Everyone saw it. Everyone except the quiet shadow that had been growing inside her, one she refused to acknowledge, pushing aside chest tightness, fatigue, and moments where the world tilted just a little too sharply. Maxie had always been good at pretending to be okay. It was practically a Jones family trait. So when her breath caught that night, sharp and unexpected, she brushed it off with a shaky laugh. Get it together, Maxie. You've got kids to tuck in. But the corridor swayed again. And then, a flash of white, a surge of pain, a gasp swallowed by silence. Maxie collapsed. The meal she brought for Spinelli slipped from her hands, scattering onto the hospital floor like broken pieces of an unfinished story. A nurse found her seconds later. Chaos erupted, and the storm outside finally broke. Spinelli heard first. He received a page, the kind that made his stomach twist before his mind caught up. His fingers trembled as he dialed the number back. Epiphany? What's wrong? Her voice cracked. It never cracked. Damien, it's Maxie. You need to come to the hospital. Now. He didn't remember running. Only the sound of his own heartbeat slamming against his ribs. Anna Devane was next. Then Felicia. Then Mac. Then Brooke Lynn, who dropped her phone and screamed Chase's name with a terror he had never heard from her before. And then came the hardest call of all. To Georgie and James, who were staying at the Scorpio house. To Bailey, still too young to understand what the word emergency truly meant. To everyone whose life Maxie had touched. By midnight, the hospital waiting room was full. Faces pale. Hands trembling. A silence heavy enough to crush the soul. Monica stepped out finally, her expression grave. And that was when the world held its breath. General Hospital had seen miracles. It had also seen tragedies so deep they became legend. Maxie was somewhere between. Her condition was sudden, catastrophic, an unseen congenital defect that had gone unnoticed her entire life. It had ruptured without warning. Surgeons worked with the kind of urgency usually reserved for the impossible. Because this was impossible. Maxie Jones couldn't die. Not after everything. Not when she had survived kidnappers, cults, lies, heartbreaks, dangerous loves, and more brushes with death than any young woman should. She had children. A future. A life she had fought fiercely to rebuild. No, Spinelli whispered, pacing like a man whose soul had been ripped out. No, no, no. She can't leave us. Felicia held Mac's arm so tightly her nails dug into his skin. Anna remained stone still, but her eyes glistened with memories of a girl she had watched grow up, a girl who reminded her of Robin with her fire and impossible courage. Brooke Lynn sobbed into Chase's chest. Elizabeth stood frozen. Sasha prayed through trembling lips. Every person in that hallway had a piece of Max's heart inside them. Every person knew they were about to lose it. At 3:17 a.m., the doors of the operating room opened. Dr. Monica Quartermain stood there with her surgical cap still on, her shoulders slumped. One look. That was all it took. Felicia screamed. Spinelli collapsed to his knees. Anna turned away, pressing a hand to her mouth as a sob tore free. She fought, Monica whispered. God, she fought so hard. But we couldn't bring her back. Brooke Lynn fainted. Chase caught her before she hit the floor. The storm thundered outside, shaking the windows of the hospital, almost as if the sky itself was mourning. Maxie Jones. Mother, daughter, sister, friend. Brightest light in the darkest town.
was gone.
Word spread faster than anyone expected. The residents of Port Charles woke to an emergency broadcast from the hospital and a press statement from the PCPD. News anchors spoke with voices heavy with grief. By dawn, the entire town had gathered at the waterfront. The same spot where so many had celebrated, mourned, confessed, and rebuilt. Today, they gathered to cry. Sunny stood silently near Carly, both uncharacteristically united in grief.
Nina held Willow's hand. Sasha leaned into Cody.
Dante wrapped an arm around Sam. Even walls between enemies crumbled in the face of the loss of someone who had touched all of them.
Children didn't understand. Adults couldn't accept.
Port Charles felt hollow.
Spinelli was the worst of all. He refused to leave the hospital. Refused to sit. Refused to breathe without choking on tears.
She was my heart, he whispered to Anna.
My constant. My family. How do I tell our daughter?
How do I go on? Anna held him while he sobbed into her shoulder. Mac tried to hold Felicia up, but he was shaking, too. The Scorpio family had lost one child before. Losing another?
It was unthinkable. It was Brooklyn who found it. A video.
Recorded a week earlier, when Maxie had been planning a surprise for her kids. Something silly, sweet, and pure Maxie. Brooklyn pressed play, expecting laughter. Instead, her knees buckled when Maxie appeared on screen, smiling brightly, saying, "If you're watching this, I guess life pulled another one of its crazy stunts. So let me just say what I never say enough."
Her voice wavered. Brooklyn sobbed so loudly Chase came running. Maxie continued, "I love you. All of you.
Every friend. Every mistake, every miracle, every heartbreak that brought me here. If I'm gone, don't let my kids forget who I was. And please, be there for each other. Don't fight. Don't close yourselves off. Live. Love. Laugh. Ugh, I sound like a cheap wall decoration. But it's true. Don't let my story end with sadness."
Brooklyn clutched the phone to her chest.
"Maxie, why does it feel like you knew?"
She didn't. But she was Maxie Jones.
And Maxie always loved fiercely, just in case she never got another chance. The church overflowed. Pink lilies lined the aisle, Max's favorite. Her photo, framed in white, sat near the altar. She was laughing in it, eyes bright, hair curled in soft waves.
Spinelli couldn't speak. He tried.
But when he opened his mouth, only a broken sob came out.
Georgie held his hand. James clung to Mac.
Bailey reached out for Brooklyn, confused by all the crying. Felicia stepped forward, red-eyed and trembling. "My daughter lived loudly," she said, her voice cracking.
"She loved recklessly.
She forgave too easily, trusted too deeply, and fought harder than anyone I've ever known. She was sunshine, even when she was hurting."
Anna spoke next.
"Maxie survived pain that would destroy most people.
And she survived it with kindness.
With humor.
With grace.
She taught me that strength isn't about being fearless, it's about being brave despite the fear." Brooklyn sang a song she wrote for her, so quietly the room leaned forward to hear. And through it all, the children cried. The hardest part of all. The moment the casket closed. Spinelli reached out with a shaking hand and whispered, "I'll love you forever, Maximista." Grief wasn't a straight line. Chase visited Spinelli every day. Anna took the children on outings to help them heal. Sasha created a charity fund in Max's name. Brooklyn fell apart behind closed doors, then wrote songs until dawn. Felicia and Mac kept Max's room the same. Sunny paid for every expense, quietly, without asking. And yet, life in Port Charles felt dimmer. The town's heartbeat had changed. The Metro Court felt too quiet. The hospital hallways seemed colder. The park felt emptier without Max's laughter echoing in it. Even the sky looked duller. Months passed. Spring arrived. And with it, something unexpected. Spinelli stumbled upon a letter Maxie wrote years earlier, during the Peter ordeal, hidden in an old suitcase. The envelope read, "For when the world needs reminding of who I am." Inside was a note. "I am love. I am fire. I am chaos wrapped in glitter. I am a mother, a fighter, a friend, a dreamer. If you're reading this, I need you to know. I lived. Every moment. Every mistake. Every joy. And I want you to keep living, too. For me." Spinelli cried. For the first time, the tears didn't choke him, they freed him. He gathered the kids. He read the letter aloud. They smiled. They laughed at the glitter chaos line. They hugged.
And for the first time since her passing,
the house felt warm again. On the 1 year anniversary of her death, the town gathered at the waterfront again.
Not to mourn, but to celebrate.
Candles floated across the water, lighting the dark waves like tiny stars. And just as the last candle drifted away, a gust of warm wind swept through the crowd.
Bailey giggled.
Georgie whispered, "Hi, Mom." James pointed upward. A single bright star flickered over the harbor, shimmering like sequins in the night sky.
Spinelli swallowed hard.
Maximista.
The star glowed brighter. And the town knew. Maxie Jones was gone. But her light would never fade. Not from Port Charles. Not from the hearts she touched. Not from the stories yet to be written.
She was eternal.
Their brightest spark. Their laughter in the dark.
Their forever love.